the Judgment and Exile. The great assembly hall of the Galactic Council stretched across 3 miles of crystalline architecture, its walls pulsing with bioluminescent patterns that reflected the mood of the gathered representatives. Today, those patterns glowed deep crimson, the color of judgment and condemnation. In the center of this vast chamber, 3 humans stood on a raised platform, surrounded by the most powerful beings in the known galaxy. Admiral Sarah Chen maintained her military bearing, despite the weight of 1,000 alien eyes upon her. Her gray uniform bore the insignia of the Terran Defense Force, now perhaps meaningless in the face of galactic justice. Beside her, Dr. Marcus Rodriguez shifted nervously, his scientific mind racing through possible outcomes and calculations. The third human, Ambassador Elena Vasquez, stood with diplomatic grace, her dark eyes scanning the assembled council members with careful assessment. The Zephyrian Chancellor spoke first, his crystalline form refracting light into rainbow patterns across the chamber floor. When he spoke, his voice resonated like wind chimes in a hurricane. Representatives of the species known as humanity, you stand before the Galactic Council accused of violations against the cosmic accords. The Trilaxian Empress, a being of pure energy contained within a shimmering field, pulsed with angry orange light. In the span of merely 2 centuries, your species has claimed 17 star systems without proper authorization. Most civilized races take millennia to expand beyond their birth system. Dr. Rodriguez stepped forward, his voice steady despite the overwhelming presence surrounding them. Honored Council, we followed all established protocols. Each system we colonized was thoroughly surveyed and confirmed to be uninhabited. We submitted all required documentation within the prescribed timeframes. A ripple of discontent passed through the assembly. The Corvin hive mind representative, a cluster of insectoid beings speaking in unison, clicked disapprovingly. Documentation, yes, but not patience. The proper waiting period for system colonization approval is 50 standard years. You proceeded, after a mere 5. Ambassador Vasquez cleared her throat diplomatically. With respect, honored hive mind, our population growth necessitated rapid expansion. Earth's resources were becoming strained, and millions of our people needed new homes. We couldn't wait decades while families suffered. The Etherian Collective's spokesperson, a being of living metal that constantly shifted between forms, spoke, with the sound of grinding gears. This brings us to the second charge, excessive violence. When the Phantom Raiders attacked your mining operations in the Kepler system, your response was disproportionate. Admiral Chen's jaw tightened, but her voice remained controlled. The Phantom Raiders killed 300 civilians, including children. We gave them multiple opportunities to surrender before engaging. You destroyed their entire fleet. The Trilaxian Empress pulsed, her energy field flickering with indignation. Proper protocol requires negotiation, mediation, and compromise. Violence should only be used as an absolute last resort. They were murdering innocent people, Chen replied, her military training evident in her posture. Every moment we delayed meant more deaths. The Zephyrian Chancellor's crystalline form darkened. This is precisely the problem with your species. You act first and consider consequences later. You prioritize immediate solutions over long-term stability. A new voice joined the conversation, deep and resonant like the sound of tectonic plates shifting. The Titan Collective's representative, a being the size of a small building made of living stone, spoke slowly and deliberately. There is also the matter of the Archean incident. The 3 humans exchanged glances. This was the charge they had feared most. Dr. Rodriguez stepped forward again. The archaeological site on Proxima Centauri B was clearly abandoned. Our surveys detected no signs of recent habitation. Abandoned does not mean forgotten, the stone being rumbled. The predecessor's ruins are protected under galactic law. Your excavation teams activated dormant technology without authorization. We were conducting legitimate scientific research, Rodriguez protested. The energy readings were consistent with standard archaeological procedures. The Corvin hive mind buzzed angrily. Your research caused spatial distortions across 3 sectors. The dimensional barriers in that region are still unstable. Ambassador Vasquez tried to maintain diplomatic composure. Honored Council, we acknowledge our mistakes. Humanity is still learning galactic customs. We're willing to make reparations and accept guidance to prevent future incidents. The Trilaxian Empress's energy field pulsed with dismissive red light. You have had 2 centuries to learn. Instead, your behavior has become more reckless. Your expansion continues to accelerate. Your violent responses to threats have increased, and your disregard for galactic law grows stronger. The Etherean Collective's metal form shifted into a configuration resembling a judge's gavel. The Council has been patient. We have issued warnings, imposed sanctions, and provided educational resources. Your species has ignored them all. Elder Kithara of the Voidwalkers spoke for the first time, her voice like whispers in an empty cathedral. The Voidwalkers were among the oldest species in the galaxy, having achieved spaceflight when most other races were still developing agriculture. We have watched your species for these 2 centuries. You possess potential, but you are not ready for the responsibility of galactic citizenship. The Zephyrian Chancellor's form brightened to blinding white. The Galactic Council has reached its decision. Humanity is hereby banished from all Council-controlled space. You have 90 standard days to evacuate all human presence from the inner and middle galactic rings. Admiral Chen felt the words hit her like a physical blow. Banished? Where are we supposed to go? The Void Sector, Elder Kithara replied, her ancient voice carrying the weight of finality. The dark region beyond the outer rim, where no civilized species ventures. Perhaps isolation will teach you the patience and wisdom you lack. Dr. Rodriguez's scientific mind reeled. The Void Sector is a dead zone. The radiation levels alone will kill anyone who ventures there. The Corvin hive mind buzzed with what might have been amusement. Then perhaps you should have considered that before breaking galactic law. Ambassador Vasquez made one final attempt at diplomacy. Honored Council, this sentence affects not just us but billions of innocent civilians. Surely there's room for negotiation. The Trilaxian Empress's energy field pulsed with cold blue light. The decision is final. Humanity will retreat to the Void Sector and remain there until you have learned to control your destructive impulses. The Etherean Collective added with mechanical precision. Any human ship detected in Council space after the deadline will be considered an act of war. The 3 humans stood in stunned silence as the magnitude of the sentence sank in. Billions of people would have to abandon their homes, their lives, their futures. They would be forced into a region of space so hostile that even the most advanced species avoided it. Admiral Chen straightened her shoulders and looked directly at the Zephyrian Chancellor. We accept your judgment, but I want you to remember something. She paused, her voice carrying the authority of someone who had commanded fleets in battle. You're not just banishing us, you're setting us free. The crystalline being's form flickered with confusion. Explain. Out there in the void, there are no rules to follow except our own. No committees to ask permission from. No waiting periods for decisions that need to be made immediately. You think you're punishing us, but you might be giving us exactly what we need to become what we're meant to be. Elder Kithara's ancient eyes narrowed. The Void Sector is called the graveyard of civilizations for good reason. No species has ever returned from its depths. Chen smiled grimly. Then we'll be the first. The evacuation began immediately. Across 17 star systems, humanity packed their lives into cargo ships and passenger vessels. The logistics were staggering. Nearly 8 billion people needed to be relocated along with their belongings, their technologies, and their hopes for the future. Captain David Park commanded one of the evacuation fleets, his massive colony ship carrying 50,000 refugees toward the unknown. His bridge crew worked with quiet efficiency, their faces reflecting the same mixture of fear and determination that had carried humanity to the stars in the first place. Captain, reported Navigation Officer Lisa Kim, we're approaching the boundary of the Void Sector. Radiation levels are increasing, but still within acceptable parameters. Park nodded, studying the sensor readings. The Void Sector looked exactly as its name suggested, a region of space so dark and empty that their instruments could barely detect anything beyond the immediate vicinity. No stars, no planets, no sign of the teeming life that filled the rest of the galaxy. "Maintain course," he ordered, "and keep scanning. If we're going to make this place our home, we need to know what we're dealing with." As the evacuation fleet penetrated deeper into the void, strange readings began to appear on their sensors. Dr. Sarah Kim, the fleet's chief scientist, studied the data with growing excitement. "Captain, you need to see this," she called from her station. "I'm detecting artificial structures in the darkness, massive ones." Park moved to her console, his eyes widening as he saw the sensor data. How massive? "Some of these structures are larger than space stations. They're old, Captain. Really old. The energy signatures are unlike anything in our databases." Engineering Chief Tom Rodriguez looked up from his diagnostics. "Sir, I'm reading power sources throughout the sector. Whatever built these things, they're still functional after who knows how long." Park stared out at the seemingly empty void with new eyes. "Send word to the other ships. We're not alone out here." As the human evacuation fleet spread throughout the void sector, each discovery revealed more mysteries. Ancient structures drifted in the darkness like sleeping giants. Derelict ships of unknown design sat frozen in time, and most intriguingly, faint signals emanated from the deepest parts of the sector, as if something was waiting to be awakened. Admiral Chen, now aboard the command ship of the evacuation fleet, received reports from across the void. Each message brought new revelations about their supposed prison. The Galactic Council had banished them to what they thought was a wasteland, but humanity was discovering something far more significant. "Admiral," reported Communications Officer Jennifer, "please, we're receiving a signal from the deep void. It's not random, there's a pattern to it." Chen studied the signal analysis, her mind racing. "Any idea what it might be?" Dr. Rodriguez, who had been analyzing the data from multiple ships, looked up with amazement. "Admiral, I think we found the predecessors." The predecessors were legend throughout the galaxy, an ancient civilization that had supposedly vanished millions of years ago, leaving behind only myths and scattered ruins. The Galactic Council had always dismissed them as folklore, but here in the Void sector their legacy was very much alive. As the human fleets established temporary bases throughout the sector, they began to understand the true nature of their exile. The Galactic Council hadn't banished them to a wasteland. They had unknowingly sent them to the greatest archaeological discovery in galactic history. The Void sector wasn't empty. It was full of wonders waiting to be discovered, technologies beyond current understanding, and perhaps most importantly, the keys to humanity's future among the stars. Admiral Chen stood on the observation deck of her command ship, looking out at the ancient structures that dotted the darkness. The Galactic Council had meant to break humanity's spirit, to teach them humility through isolation and hardship. Instead, they had given them the greatest gift imaginable: freedom to explore, to discover, and to become something new. The real question now was not whether humanity could survive in the Void sector, but what they would become once they unlocked its secrets. Masters of the Void, 3 years had passed since humanity's exile to the Void sector, and the transformation was remarkable. What had once been a desperate collection of refugee fleets had evolved into something unprecedented in galactic history. The humans had not merely adapted to their harsh new environment. They had mastered it. Admiral Chen stood in the command center of New Terra Station, humanity's first permanent structure in the Void. The station itself was a marvel of hybrid technology, combining human engineering with predecessor designs discovered throughout the sector. Its crystalline spires reached out into the darkness like fingers grasping at ancient secrets. "Admiral," called Chief Science Officer Dr. Elena Vasquez, the former ambassador who had found her true calling among the mysteries of the Void. "The integration tests are complete. The predecessor navigation system is fully operational." Chen moved to the central display, where a three-dimensional map of the Void sector rotated slowly. What had once appeared as empty space was now revealed to be a vast network of interconnected structures, dormant technologies, and hidden pathways through space-time itself. "Remarkable," she murmured. "The predecessors didn't just build in this sector. They built it into something else entirely. Dr. Marcus Rodriguez, now heading the predecessor technology division, approached with barely contained excitement. "Admiral, we've made another breakthrough. The power cores we discovered aren't just energy sources, they're reality manipulators. They can alter the fundamental laws of physics within their operational range." The implications were staggering. Humanity had stumbled upon technology that made their former achievements look like children, playing with toys, faster than light travel, matter manipulation, even limited time dilation were all within their grasp. Captain Sarah Kim, now commanding the exploration fleet, entered the command center with a group of newcomers. "Admiral, I'd like you to meet our guests." The beings she brought were unlike anything the Galactic Council had ever catalogued. They stood 7 feet tall, with elegant crystalline structures growing from their shoulders and heads. Their skin shimmered with bioluminescent patterns that shifted and changed as they communicated. "These are the Nexari," Kim explained. "They've been hiding in the deep void for millennia, waiting for someone worthy of the predecessor legacy." "The Ra'u?" The Nexari stepped forward, her voice like crystal bells in harmony. "We are the keepers of the deep knowledge. We have watched your species since your arrival, and we are impressed by your adaptation and curiosity." Chen inclined her head respectfully. "We're honored by your presence. Can you tell us more about the predecessors?" The Nexari's bioluminescent patterns shifted to deeper blues and purples. "They were the first builders, creators of technologies that transcended conventional understanding. They departed this reality when they achieved perfect synthesis with the cosmic consciousness." "Dr." Vasquez leaned forward intently. "But they left their technology behind?" "Not left," the Nexari corrected. "Prepared. They knew that someday a worthy species would emerge to inherit their legacy. We have been testing your people for 3 of your years. You have proven yourselves capable of growth and wisdom." Another voice joined the conversation, this one mechanical and precise. The speaker was a Vorthan, a species of living machines that had also sought refuge in the void sector. Their representative, Unit Prime, spoke with the authority of collective intelligence. "The Vorthan Collective offers alliance to the human coalition," Unit Prime announced. "Your biological creativity combined with our mechanical precision could unlock the deepest secrets of predecessor technology." A third group approached, the Ethereal Collective, beings of pure energy who existed partially outside normal space-time. Their spokesperson manifested as a shimmering humanoid form that constantly shifted between solid and translucent. "We have observed the approach of the Devourers," the Ethereal communicated telepathically. "The ancient enemy stirs in the spaces between realities. The predecessor's final gift was not just technology, but preparation for the war that must come." Admiral Chen felt a chill, despite the warm atmosphere of the station. "Devourers?" The Nexari's patterns turned to warnings reds and blacks. "Entities from outside our reality who consume entire dimensions. The predecessors fought them eons ago and won, but at great cost. They knew the Devourers would eventually return." Dr. Rodriguez's scientific mind raced with possibilities. "The technology we've been discovering, it's not just advanced science. It's weapons designed to fight beings that exist outside our normal understanding of reality." Unit Prime's mechanical voice carried new urgency. "Scans indicate dimensional barriers weakening throughout the galaxy. The Devourer's influence spreads like infection through space-time itself." Admiral Chen looked around at the assembled representatives of species that had all found refuge in the void sector. An idea began to form in her mind, bold and dangerous, but perhaps necessary. "What if we're not just refugees hiding in the darkness?" she said slowly. "What if we're meant to be the galaxy's defense against this threat?" The Ethereal's form pulsed with agreement. "The Galactic Council cast you out in ignorance, but perhaps cosmic forces guided that decision. You alone have the curiosity and determination to master predecessor technology before the Devourers arrive." Captain Kim brought up tactical displays, showing the current state of the galaxy. "Admiral, our long-range sensors are detecting unusual activity in Council space. Several star systems have gone dark, and there are reports of entire species disappearing without trace. Dr. Vasquez studied the data with growing alarm. The pattern suggests something is systematically consuming inhabited worlds. If this is the Devourer's advance force, the Council has no idea what they're facing. The Nexari's bioluminescent patterns shifted to urgent gold. The time for preparation grows short. We must accelerate the awakening of the great engines. Admiral Chen turned to her senior staff. How many of our people have successfully integrated with predecessor technology? Nearly 40%, Rodriguez reported. The neural interfaces are becoming more sophisticated, and our people are adapting faster than we initially projected. And our fleet capabilities? Captain Kim smiled grimly. Every ship in our fleet has been upgraded with predecessor technology. We have vessels that can phase through solid matter, weapons that can target enemies across multiple dimensions, and shields that can deflect attacks from beings that exist partially outside reality. The transformation of humanity had been remarkable. What had started as a desperate struggle for survival had become something approaching apotheosis. Humans working with predecessor technology could manipulate matter at the quantum level, travel through dimensions, and perceive reality in ways that would have been impossible just years before. But perhaps the most significant change was in humanity's purpose. They were no longer just another species struggling for survival in a hostile galaxy. They had become the inheritors of the greatest civilization that had ever existed, and with that inheritance came responsibility. Unit Prime accessed the collective databases of all species present. Intelligence indicates the Galactic Council remains unaware of the true threat. They continue their bureaucratic processes while reality itself comes under attack. The ethereal's form shifted to show visions of possible futures, some showing a galaxy consumed by darkness, others depicting brave battles among the stars. Choice approaches rapidly. Will you remain hidden while the galaxy falls, or will you emerge to fulfill your destiny? Admiral Chen looked out through the station's transparent walls at the ancient structures that surrounded them. Humanity had been banished to what the Council considered a wasteland, but they had discovered paradise. Now they faced a choice that would define not just their future, but the fate of all sentient life in the galaxy. "We're going back," she declared. "Not as the exiled humans the Council banished, but as the inheritors of predecessor technology. The galaxy is going to need us, whether they want our help or not." Dr. Rodriguez pulled up construction schedules on his display. "The battle fleet will be ready in 6 months. We've got ships that can challenge anything the Council has ever seen, and weapons designed to fight enemies they can't even imagine." Captain Kim nodded approvingly. "The exploration fleets have mapped dimensional weak points throughout the galaxy. We can appear anywhere we're needed, and the Council's sensors won't even detect us coming." The Nexari's patterns shifted to hopeful blues and greens. "The Keepers of Deep Knowledge will accompany you. Our duty is to ensure the predecessor legacy is used wisely." Unit Prime's mechanical voice carried new determination. "The Vorthan Collective pledges our computational power to the cause. Together, we will calculate victory where others see only chaos." The ethereal's form brightened with renewed purpose. "The Ethereal Collective will serve as scouts in the spaces between dimensions. We will provide early warning of Devourer incursions." Admiral Chen smiled, remembering the 3 humans who had stood before the Galactic Council just 3 years ago. They had been representatives of a species the Council considered too dangerous and unpredictable for civilized space. Now they were the leaders of a coalition that possessed technology beyond the Council's comprehension. "Send a message to the Council," she ordered. "Tell them that humanity formally requests readmission to galactic civilization. But make it clear that we're not the same species they banished. We've evolved." As the message was prepared and sent, humanity began its preparations for return to galactic society. The Void Sector had become their forge, transforming them from refugees into something unprecedented in galactic history. They had mastered technologies that could reshape reality itself, forged alliances with species the Council had never encountered, and discovered their true purpose as guardians against cosmic threats. The Galactic Council had banished humanity to teach them humility and patience. Instead, they had created something far more powerful than they could have imagined. The exiled humans were coming home, but they were returning as the masters of the void, inheritors of ancient wisdom, and perhaps the galaxy's only hope against the darkness that was approaching. The question now was not whether humanity could reclaim their place among the stars, but whether the galaxy was ready for what they had become.